Ladies and gentlemen, here's the motherfucking tea.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of My Hero Academia.
Here's the motherfucking tea.
Yeah, the motherfucking tea. Season 4+1. And today we're going to be talking about match 3. Over here is Grant. Say hi, Grant.
Hello, it's me, Grant. I hope everyone can hear me.
And in the complete opposite direction, because that's how directions work, Lanny.
Hi, and you say we're going to be talking about match 3. I think that's being very gracious with what we're talking about today.
I don't think that it's necessarily a hyperbolic statement, but I do think
it's a little.
Yeah. So, everybody take a drink. As a manga reader, I kind of knew that this was coming. The fact that the beginning of the match
Thanks for warning us.
Yeah. The beginning of the match was going to take part in the second part of this episode because of the way that they were adapting the manga, and considering how much that they've got going on in the next episode, which is a lot, by the way. I'm actually very excited for next episode. But this episode,
I hope it's got a lot to make up for, because this is the first episode this season that I just legitimately did not like. I was bored.
I honestly was too, and part of that really had to come down to we want to see the interactions between these characters happen, and this episode just stalls on that for so long until
it really does.
Until like in the last 10 minutes, maybe even the last 7 minutes of the episode, things actually start to get good, and then
there are a couple character parts leading up to that I think are good.
Yeah.
Some of them slow some things down, but I genuinely liked the little step aside where All Might kind of pulls Deku over to him. It's like, so hey, anything happened since we talked? You kind of freaking out. I know you're gonna have to fight Shinzo, and he's the one that made some weird stuff happen last time. And during this, Bakugo comes in, which at this point I honestly had kind of forgotten that he's in on the secret now, and he knows this stuff. And he's like, come on, you guys, you told me to keep a secret, and your asses keep going off on your own. You're gonna make it obvious.
You're being very conspicuous, jackasses.
Yeah.
Now tell me everything that's going on. That was probably the best part of the episode for me, because you get that new dynamic that's been building between Bakugo.
Yeah, I really like this trio.
Yeah, and how Bakugo's way of going about it is like, hey dude, what the hell's going on? Yeah, this thing just activated on its own. Get your shit under control, jackass!
I can't believe you're the guy. Oh man.
I between that scene and also Endeavor having Shoto syndrome, I'm also
that was going to be my other highlight of the episode.
And isn't it great that the things we cared most about from this episode had nothing to do with the main draw? Although, that's actually sort of nice. It is nice that these character moments are coming through, because we desperately need them in fight after fight after fight.
Because let's talk about the main draw here, which is match 3. Quadtets and others versus Shoto and others.
I will say this. I really like the idea of, because we haven't seen a whole lot of Ida since the whole Stain incident.
But man, did we really need another flashback to the "you need to be in Ganium"? I don't fucking care, dude.
We didn't need that part, I don't think. Although I do like the, I think it's important that we get the update of hey, his recovery's going well. That's
cool.
That's
then
good.
Show me that. Don't cut back to him being in hospice.
Glad to hear people are like, hey, Ida, you seem like you're on the up and up. You that's kind of new for you. And you're like, yeah, my brother's doing okay. So feeling better. Oh, good, cool, nice to hear it.
But that whole thing is immediately undercut by going back to the flashback of him being in the hospital bed, just being like, you need to carry on my name. I'm not going to be able to do it anymore.
Yeah, it seems obligatory at this point. It's either out of they feel like there's a necessity to remind the younger audience of all of this happening, or they really needed to fill time. And
to be fair, it was something that happened in season 2, and while it's been referenced plenty of times, we are now 3 seasons separated.
Yeah,
and that's all and that's a little sad that that's all the character development he's had in that.
No,
time,
yeah,
so.
that is definitely a big bummer that's kind of all Ida has still gotten to do at this point.
Yeah,
but that said, the reveal of how his training worked in this episode, I thought was the weirdest, grossest thing.
Oh yeah,
also uncomfortable.
is this how just the Ida family sort of goes through puberty, where it's just like start
Yeah.
plucking those leg hairs? I mean, engines.
You gotta pull out your baby engine so you get your big boy mufflers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big boy
that's
mufflers need to grow in.
that's really, really, really painful looking.
The fact that they showed it is like, tunk.
Just
Yeah.
how he had the little towel or the rag in his mouth to keep him from just biting too hard.
Can't there be like a surgical procedure for that, where like if the family knows that that's what they got to do, can't they be like, okay, we're gonna knock
That's
you
not
out
part
and
of
we're
the
going to pull
training.
these under and
There's a it's a lot. I mean, it's pretty it's metal metaphorically and actually. But I was actually I don't know. It's still cool. It's still neat. It's just, again, there's a lot of stuff that we get in this episode between a bunch of stuff that it doesn't feel like we necessarily need. A lot of flashbacks that weren't necessary. Very slow pacing on a lot of stuff. I will say it was I don't know what the dub's gonna do with Pony. I have no idea what the dub's gonna do with
Yeah,
Pony.
actually, I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Was it like established before? Is she like a foreign exchange student or something?
She is a
Okay.
foreign exchange student, I think specifically from America. And yeah, my favorite part was the dude who makes stuff soft has a way better American English accent than Pony does.
That's just how flexible
when-
he is.
when-
His
when he-
whole,
when he-
like, it took me a second to realize his whole bit is flexibility. So he's like, I can roll with anything, like literally anything. This girl is speaking a language I don't speak. I'm gonna speak it with her, and like also speak it better. It's like
when he
just-
started,
he can go with it all.
When he started speaking English, and then you saw the Japanese subtitles behind it, and then the English subtitles
On top
pop
of
up in
it.
front of it. I was like, no, I understand this one.
Yeah, it's gonna be really funny. It'll be interesting if maybe they change her country of origin. Maybe they'll make her Canadian, and you should just start
She's
speaking with
already-
an
she's-
accent.
She's already shown up in the dub by now, though, hasn't she? They introduced her in the anime a long time ago.
I feel like you're right. I feel like that was probably in the sports festival. That sounds about right.
Because they made a joke about like, hey, you should tell them this, and then she like threatens them in Japanese,
That's
not knowing what she
right.
was saying.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Well, it'll be interesting. But yeah, it was
Her powers is she can shoot horns out
Yeah.
of her head and control them.
yeah, which is kind of like a very limited. Honestly, I saw that, I'm like, wow, that seems like a way more limited version of Hawk's power.
Yeah,
That's too bad. That's sidekick material right there.
Pretty
you have
much.
have you thought about the fact that some of these characters are 100% never going to be their own heroes, both in Class A and in
They're
Class
born
B.
to be sidekicks.
Yep.
yeah. So many of them just have support powers.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, and I'm not gonna pretend that Class 1A doesn't have its own slew of characters who are probably just gonna be their own support squad.
Hi,
like
Coda.
Animal Kid. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I think I don't know. It is kind of cool to see a lot of these powers. What is turns things into soft shit, dude?
He can make mud. He can like turn things into mud, basically.
Mudman is his hero name. I don't.
Yes,
remember his
yeah,
actual
it is.
name.
It is Mudman, which I don't know if I want my name to be Mudman. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you.
Here comes the Mudman. The party's really ready.
It's Mudman time.
I did honestly like this squad's kind of strategy, assuming they all were kind of in on it, even though it seemed like they were shocked at what Tetsu was doing. But the idea of like, we suck at scouting, let's bring them to us, and just like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
Although they're essentially making themselves the villain at that point, or you know,
Yeah.
in the situation where you're going into like, honestly, you could look at it like they're in a situation where they're fighting a super high-powered supervillain because they're going up against Todoroki, who
Yeah, it could
is
just be like we need to
immensely
draw him
powerful.
away from. We need to draw him away from the public. Let's start making a ruckus. Like,
I do like that Ida does lean into like, you're the villains and I'm the hero in this situation, much like he did back in those original tests back in season 1. Which I think is adorable. I think that is one of my favorite parts about Ida, is that he is the super serious guy all the time, but then suddenly
He
when it
admits-
comes,
he's big into roleplay.
yeah, he's
Big into roleplay.
yeah, Ida, I don't know. I'm really glad to see Ida because Ida's always been a character I've really, really enjoyed, and to see him back here and doing cool stuff again. Again,
He's-
next episode's gonna have a little bit more of that, but
Ida's definitely my favorite Yamcha.
I liked like that. I feel like it was a sweet thing for him. I was literally just jumping through the episode before, so forgive me for remembering some stuff in real detail. But when Ida, or when Todoroki's like kind of distracted by the stuff Tokuyami says to him before with the, hey, you represent Endeavor, I represent Hawks, the last big people saw, so we need to make a statement, and I fucked up, so it's on your shoulders that we make these people that we represent look good.
Yeah, like speaking in absolute terms, the last battle.
Yeah, but that kind of like threw Todoroki for a second, just kind of like thinking about it, and it was like a fun, like Ida's the one to kind of bring him back and be like, you seemed out of it, and everyone's like, Todoroki's face never changes, how'd you even notice?
Yeah,
He's
that
like,
is really cute.
I'm the rep, I gotta really know all my classmates. And I was like, that's sweet, that's at least a layer of like, he cares about everybody and is gonna notice these things.
So we have Ida, we have Shoto, we have Shinzo? No, Shinzo's the other guy. Fucking
man, this really paints a good picture of what this team is.
We have
you can't
Tail
remember half of them.
We have Shoji
All right,
and
tail
Ojiro.
guy.
Yeah, we have Shoji and Ojiro. Which Shoji is always one of those characters who I'm really excited to see what his powers can fully do, because with the whole multi-arm thing, like that's really exciting. It's such a cool idea of a power.
It's a cool looking power, but it's always just like, you're on surveillance. Like
I'm just waiting for him to start going like all Elder Togoro and like actually making shit out of his limbs, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like if there's a time skip at any point in this series and he gets to come back as like, all right, we're in year 4 of UA, let's see everybody on their senior finals, I could definitely see him be like, I grow extra limbs that are all just super powerful and I can punch you 1,000,000 times.
Or he just like fails out of hero school and just creates a bunch of replacement organs for people.
Ooh.
I am my hero name, Black Market.
And then poor Ojiro. Ojiro definitely feels like he's gonna end up as a sidekick. His power
That's
is
Tailman,
tail.
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
his power is that he has a tail and that he's good at martial arts and he's fighting a guy who can, credit to him, he's going to be very popular with whoever, like with whatever gender he decides to go after, because he can rotate any part of his body.
Gyrating hero.
Yeah, just whoo boy, he is going to be very popular.
Yeah.
I understood how the benefit of like making your hands spin while you fight. Did not quite understand the benefit of his feet spinning while he's fighting. I feel like that would be more difficult to balance.
He could probably do some sick capoeira shit.
You could, but like when you're actually trying to stand still, kind of like I feel like or like hold your ground when you're defending. It just seemed weird that his feet were still spinning.
Just doing like quick rotation stuff. I mean, obviously, he's really only doing it with his arms and like when he's doing a kick, but
Yeah.
Beyblade's got a Beyblade.
It is. I am looking forward to seeing where they end up later on, because it's such a I don't know. That's a really interesting. Like I do kind of feel like Class 1B is where is where Horikoshi really got experimental and more like weird with a lot of the abilities, whereas Class 1A is JoJo Part 3, it feels like Class 1B is JoJo Part 4 or 5, where the stand abilities start getting a little bit more weird and abstract.
Start getting a little silly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. I feel like we don't have a lot to talk about in this episode. I feel like we're talking more about the characters and the ideas of them than we are this particular episode.
One third of this episode was flashbacks, and
It really was.
I feel like at least half of those were flashbacks we'd seen previously.
Yeah.
I like the running gag with the robots who are always making fun of humans as they're carting them away from the fights. Just being like, these weak people need to heal. Oh, how sad for them.
Yeah.
That's a fun bit. But
I don't know. This whole episode, just like, if what you say is true and the next episode's actually good, hooray.
From the preview, I feel like the animation looks really nice, at least from what I saw.
Which is really good because, again, I feel I don't like to hype up or talk too much about the future, but what comes next really, really needs some good animation because it's a really cool moment in the manga. So, it's interesting because this episode is so underwhelming. I'm really hoping the next one is flat out overwhelming because, yeah. It is nice though to point out that, yeah, as somebody said in the chat, the animation this season has been above par for this part of the story. I was a little bit worried that it was going to be kind of underserved. So,
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah.
just I don't know. This episode it kind of brought to light my fears earlier on this season where I'm like, man, I hope they don't drag out some of these things too long. And this was the first one where I'm like, whew,
Yep.
this felt dragged.
Yeah, no, it is truly unfortunate that 2 episodes in a row we actually did get stuff that was flat out dragged out, especially considering the last episode also suffered from a page shortage on one of the chapters, and it's unfortunate. There's not a lot of room for filler here. There's not a lot of room for stuff to kind of fill in for what is otherwise just slowing down the stuff that's already happening. Because for me, if you're going to have to pad something out, I would rather extra action. But yeah, that's just
We
not
got to
happening here.
see Endeavor taking down that one, this pair of villains. That was some action.
He
burned that one
Yeah,
guy.
he burned Carman's shoulder.
That was fun.
Man,
and then
that was
the fun bit with him trying to friend Shoto and sending him messages and being the doting dad.
And it was like, after weeks, I finally managed to friend him on Hero Book or whatever. They don't really show what it is. but-
Showing his phone with just the "Hello, Shoto. Please answer. Hello."
I await your response.
Yeah.
Fucking left on red Endeavor is so good.
Are you getting these messages?
I hope
And-
my
and-
correspondence is coming through.
And we got like right when the episode was starting to get interesting, we got like 5 seconds of Street Shark Ida. So
Yeah, I did like the. It was just the fun turnaround. The man, your power's pretty weak with how you gotta wait for it or whatever. And he's like, "Wait for it? I've been doing this the whole time."
Yeah.
I can go for 10 minutes now.
Yeah.
I have endless endurance within a 10-minute period.
It's cool. Again, not much to talk about. Is there anything else we wanted to cover with this episode? Because we might just wrap this mother up.
God, man, I don't know. Like I said, there isn't a whole lot to go on here. This is like a 4 out of 10 episode for me.
I wouldn't call it.
And the character stuff is the only stuff that elevated it above a 2.
I wouldn't put it that low. I mean, in terms of episodes of My Hero Academia, maybe I'd put it down at a 5.
It's low on the scale for episodes, but I feel like I didn't find it particularly offensive. Just like all right, there was another one.
This
Which is
isn't-
not great.
This is an episode that if I were to sometimes I'll go back and re-binge through a series. This is one of those episodes I'd skip.
I do think
I don't feel like I'd miss anything.
Yeah, ultimately, I do think this would be an episode that I wouldn't necessarily have to come back to on rewatch. It is necessary the first time through, but yeah, there's nothing exceptionally entertaining or fun here. It's mostly just kind of informative in terms of like a couple of characters and a bunch of setup for the next episode for everyone else. But, if that's... I do have to say, if this is the worst and I do personally think that this is the worst that this arc is going to get, that's not too bad. But yeah. What do you guys think? Chat, comments. Hey, give us your feedback on this episode. I know this is a short one, but as we said, it just doesn't
Not a
feel
lot
like
to
there's...
go off of here.
Gonna
Not-
feel bad for that one guy who's a diehard Tail Guy fan, and he's like, I can't believe you guys didn't love that this guy got to show up and do stuff. Come on.
Man, but that's...
I'll love it when he actually gets to show off some shit that he's done,
Yeah,
He
like-
got his foot stuck in that mud over there. And
Yeah.
the guy was like, I muddied random stuff. Have fun.
He fought Gyro Dude for a bit, and what is his finishing move? Like, did they ever go into what his ultimate move is? Like, it
He hits really hard with his tail.
just really hits him.
Yeah, I do have to say, he does get off with like one of the best fucking hero names, Spiral. Damn, that's solid. And yeah, I know what you mean though. Hey, all you Ojiro fans, trust us. I
Three
like
of you.
I personally think Ojiro is cool. I mean, the thing is, I actually love all of these characters to a certain extent. Like, there is no character in here that I actively dislike.
Yeah,
like,
I would agree with that.
some I find more underwhelming than others. I actually think like fucking Dragon Scales guy's design is like really cool, but otherwise it's like, you can shoot scales. That's sort of neat. But I genuinely like all these characters. So I would love to see Ojiro come out and do something really cool. So far, not so much.
Post
I have
the My Hero Shippuden, and he comes back with 2 tails. Now what do you do?
Oh yeah. I can't wait till they introduce fusion, and then we get Ojiro and fucking multi-limb guy Shoji mixed together, so it can grow 9
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
tails.
all the tails become
Now I can put
become the
eyes on
Kyuubi.
my tails.
For every tail that he gets, he just grows stronger.
Can
You thought it was bad
Shoji-
when my tail could hit you. Now my tail can bite you.
Shoji can just grow any limbs he wants in any like organization. So in theory, he could grow tails. Could his power also be tail?
I'm actually wondering. So I
They both
actually
run for
do.
class
I
president.
mean, he has wings.
Yeah, he
So-
can't grow the wings, but the wings, like, it seems like that's kind of an extension of being able to grow things that already exist. That is sort of curious. And for
Yeah,
the first time
would-
ever, I have to remind myself that these are high schoolers because I just realized that, yeah, he can grow any limb, and I'm going to have to separate my brain from that.
Oh, he can
forever.
also be very popular.
Yeah, he can. When he gets to college, when he gets to superhero college, I'm sure he's going to do very well.
What Ojiro doesn't realize is he has to cut off his tail, and it will grow back twice as thick and twice as strong.
Ah,
But yeah, so yeah, this has been the My Hero Academia review. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Next week we'll be covering the finale of match 3, which, as I've said before, I'm excited about. I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Like I know, but yeah, if you've got any comments, disagreements with us,
which heroes do you think are the most popular with their preferred gender?
with their romantic partners.
yeah, and and if we missed anything you thought was vital, definitely tell us in the comments. Tell us how
Detroit,
stupid we are for
smash
forgetting.
that like button.
Yeah, tell us.
Very much wrong. Tell us why this episode might be the greatest of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you all
I
so much.
dare you.
And we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Let's raid Martin.